The morning sun filtered through the dense greenery, casting dappled light onto the walking path. The air carried a subtle freshness, infused with the faint scent of rain from the night before. I couldn't help but feel a quiet thrill of excitement coursing through me. Today was special. Ray and I were heading to the Southern Islands, a little pocket of nature just outside Singapore's urban sprawl. It felt like the perfect escape, a blend of adventure and relaxation that promised to deepen the connection we'd been building. At the harbor, the scene was alive with activity. Small groups gathered near the ferry dock, their laughter mingling with the soft slosh of waves against the pier. Ray spotted me first, and when I turned, there he was, looking effortlessly casual in a light blue polo shirt and khaki shorts, a backpack slung over one shoulder. His smile was warm, easy, and as always, it had a way of putting me at ease. "Ready for a mini-adventure?" I asked, unable to hide the playful lilt in my voice. He chuckled.
Absolutely. Though I'll admit, you've been suspiciously quiet about the plan.
"Sometimes the best moments come when you don't plan every detail," I said with a grin, leading the way toward the ferry. The ride to St. John's Island was a welcome reprieve. The skyline of Singapore slowly faded into the distance, replaced by endless shades of blue that stretched across the horizon. I leaned against the railing, letting the breeze tousle my hair, while the gentle rhythm of the waves lulled my thoughts into stillness. Ray stood beside me, his gaze fixed on the water, and for a moment, neither of us spoke. "Do you ever feel like this?" I asked softly, breaking the comfortable silence. "Like the world slows down when you're surrounded by water?" He tilted his head, considering my words.
I've never thought about it that way.
He admitted.
But now that you mention it, yeah, it does feel peaceful. Like everything else fades away for a bit.
I smiled, my heart swelling with quiet satisfaction. For me, moments like these were what made life beautiful. The kind of connection that went beyond words, where understanding flowed naturally. When we reached the island, the lush greenery and sandy trails welcomed us like an old friend. The sun filtered through the canopy, creating a mosaic of light and shadow on the path as we walked. I led the way, pointing out little details that caught my eye. A butterfly resting delicately on a wildflower, the way the sunlight danced on the rippling waves in the distance. Ray listened, his responses thoughtful but sparse. I could tell he was taking it all in, his attention shifting between the environment and me. There was something grounding about his presence, a quiet reassurance that made me feel seen, even when I wasn't speaking. By midday, we found a quiet stretch of beach to have lunch. I had packed a simple picnic, sandwiches, fresh fruit, and a batch of homemade granola bars that I'd been perfecting for weeks. As we sat cross-legged on the blanket, the soft sound of waves lapping against the shore formed the perfect backdrop. Ray took a bite of the granola bar and raised his eyebrows in surprise.
This is amazing. Did you make this?
I nodded, feeling a faint blush creep into my cheeks. "I did. Cooking is kind of my therapy." He smiled, his expression warm.
It shows. You put so much thought into everything you do. It's inspiring.
His words lingered, leaving a flutter of gratitude in my chest. For someone like me, whose love language often manifested in small, thoughtful gestures, hearing that recognition felt deeply validating. The afternoon brought us to Lazarus Island, a lesser-known gem with pristine beaches and calm waters. When Ray suggested swimming, I hesitated for a moment before agreeing. The cool water was a welcome relief from the sun, and soon we were both waist-deep, the gentle waves lapping against us. Ray's playful side emerged as he splashed water at me, his exaggerated attempts at floating sending us both into fits of laughter. For a while, the rest of the world melted away, leaving only the simplicity of joy and the sound of our laughter mingling with the sea breeze. Afterward, we sat on the shore, our feet buried in the wet sand, watching as the sun began its slow descent. The horizon was painted in hues of gold and pink, and the air grew quieter, as if the world itself was holding its breath. "This has been a perfect day," I said, my voice barely above a whisper, my heart full.
It really has.
Ray agreed, He paused, glancing at me with an expression that was both thoughtful and tender.
I don't think I've ever met someone like you, Joelle. You make things feel lighter, easier, like I can just be myself.
His words settled over me like a warm blanket, and for a moment I struggled to find the right response. "You're easy to be around too, Ray," I said softly. "I think it's because you're real. You don't try to be anything you're not, and that's rare." We sat there in comfortable silence, the waves gently lapping at the shore as the sky shifted into deeper shades of orange and purple. It was the kind of moment that felt timeless, etched into my memory as something sacred. On the ferry ride back, the glow of the city lights came into view, twinkling like a distant constellation. I leaned my head against Ray's shoulder, the gentle sway of the boat lulling me into a state of contentment. His presence was steady, grounding, and it felt as though we had crossed an invisible threshold in our relationship. For me, this day had been more than just an outing. It was a reminder of what I valued most in love: shared moments, quiet understanding, and the kind of compassion that spoke louder than words. And as the ferry rocked gently beneath us, I couldn't help but feel that we were on the cusp of something beautiful. A connection that felt as vast and deep as the ocean surrounding us.